The void of space stretched endlessly, a dark canvas dotted with distant stars. The human ship Starbreaker glided through the uncharted sector, its engines humming softly and sensors scanning the empty expanse. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the viewports as the navigation screens flickered with readings. It was a quiet journey. Almost too quiet. The crew had been sent to map a region that no human had dared approach before. Some called it dangerous. Some called it boring. Ilara called it opportunity. "Commander," said Lieutenant Rin, the sensor officer, his voice breaking the calm, "we're picking up an unusual object dead ahead. It's floating in open space. And there's nothing, no energy. No signals. It looks like a ship." Ilara's brow furrowed. "Show me," she said, walking closer to the display. The object appeared as a dark silhouette against the starfield. Its shape was sleek, symmetrical, and elegant, but it was like no ship she had ever seen. It didn't resemble any human or known alien design. "What's odd?" Rin continued, pointing at the readings. "Every compass, every navigation instrument, everything points away from it. It's as if space itself refuses to acknowledge it." Ilara leaned closer, studying the screen. She felt a chill run down her spine. Not from fear, but from the thrill of discovery. "Set a course. We're going to get a closer look," she said. The bridge went silent, the crew exchanging nervous glances. Humans had explored many parts of space, but sometimes curiosity outweighed caution. Ilara was proof of that. As Starbreaker drifted closer, the ship's sensors struggled to lock onto the object. It floated calmly, as if it had been waiting for centuries. Its surface was dark, smooth, and reflective, showing faint echoes of the distant stars. There were no signs of damage, no wreckage. The more the crew looked, the stranger it seemed. The ship was untouched. "Commander," said Dr. Lyra, the ship's scientist, her voice trembling slightly, "I've never seen anything like this. It's perfect. No signs of age, no radiation, nothing. It's like time hasn't touched it." Ilara nodded slowly. "Prepare a boarding team. I want to know what's inside. Rin, keep monitoring it. Lyra, bring any scans you can manage. I want to understand this ship before we step on it." The crew moved with quiet efficiency. Humans were adaptable. They trained for emergencies and unknown encounters. But even their training could not prepare them for this. As the boarding shuttle detached from Starbreaker and glided toward the mysterious vessel, a sense of awe and unease filled the air. Every compass still refused to point toward the ship. The void itself seemed to resist it. Inside the shuttle, the boarding team Ilara, Lieutenant Rin, Dr. Lyra, and 2 security officers stood ready. The air felt heavier, though the shuttle's systems indicated normal gravity and pressure. Ilara activated the docking sequence. "Brace for docking," she said calmly. Though her heart raced, the shuttle locked onto the alien ship seamlessly, almost as if it wanted them there. The hatch opened with a soft hiss. The first step inside revealed a corridor bathed in dim, white light. It was wide and curved, with walls that shimmered slightly, reflecting movement in subtle ways. The air was breathable, stable, and surprisingly clean. The ship felt alive, but not in a way humans could recognize. Ilara raised her hand, signaling the team to move forward cautiously. Every step they took echoed in the corridor. There were no doors, no markings, no signs of previous life. Yet it was not empty. It felt like the ship itself was watching, observing, waiting. They reached a central chamber, vast and circular, with a high ceiling that seemed to stretch infinitely. At its center stood a console, alien in design, covered in lights that pulsed gently. The lights shifted in patterns too complex for human eyes to follow. Lyra stepped forward, scanning it with her portable device. "This technology, it's unlike anything we have," Lyra said, awe in her voice. But there's no power source. Nothing is connected. It's self-sustaining, Rin frowned. Commander, I still don't understand. Every compass points away from this ship. Sensors can't track anything inside. It's as if the laws of physics bend around it. Alara took a deep breath. We're humans, she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. We face the unknown, adapt, and find a way. That's what we do. Keep scanning. The team split up, examining the chamber and adjacent corridors. Everything was symmetrical, perfect, and strangely silent. It was not ominous, not threatening, yet the emptiness carried a weight that pressed on their minds. They moved carefully, aware of every sound, every flicker of light. The alien ship seemed aware of them, but not hostile. It was patience incarnate. After an hour of exploration, Rin called out, Commander, you need to see this. They gathered around a smaller room, circular, with a glass-like chamber at its center. Inside lay a figure, humanoid in shape but unlike any human. It floated suspended in a clear stasis field. Its skin had a soft glow, and its features were elegant, almost regal. It was alive but motionless, perfectly preserved as if time had paused. Alara stared at the figure. Is it dead? She asked. Lyra shook her head. No. Vital signs are minimal. It's in stasis. Somehow. Preserved for centuries. Maybe longer. The team exchanged nervous glances. Alara felt a mixture of fear and fascination. This was more than a discovery. It was contact with life, beyond human understanding. And yet, the being posed no threat. It was calm, silent, and untouched by the passage of time. Rin spoke cautiously. Commander, we should be careful. We don't know what this species is capable of. This ship, it's been untouched for a reason. Maybe it's waiting. Or maybe it's a trap. Alara considered the warning. Humans are explorers, she said firmly. We face the unknown not to conquer it, but to understand it. We proceed, but with caution. Hours passed as the team documented the chamber, scanning the stasis field and the alien inside. Every instrument they had struggled to interpret the data. The being's biology was advanced, almost perfect. Its DNA structures were unlike anything humans had catalogued. Yet, there was something familiar in the intelligence it exuded. A silent invitation to communicate. Night cycles passed aboard Starbreaker. Even though the concept of night was irrelevant in deep space, the boarding team continued exploring. Corridors twisted and shifted subtly, confusing even the ship's internal mapping systems. Lights responded to presence, doors opened without handles, and some pathways seemed to lead nowhere, yet eventually returned to familiar sections. The ship was a puzzle, alive in its design, testing human intellect. In a small observation alcove, Alara looked out at the blackness beyond the ship. The stars seemed farther away, yet closer at the same time. Her mind wandered to humanity's place in the universe. Humans had always been fragile, yet bold. They had crossed oceans, walked across continents, and now they reached for the stars. And here, faced with a vessel untouched by time, humans were once again testing themselves against the unknown. We'll find answers, she whispered to herself. We always do. That night, sleep was uneasy for the team. Dreams were filled with strange corridors, shimmering lights, and whispers of intelligence they could not understand. Even in sleep, humans adapted, processed, and prepared. When they awoke, it was with renewed determination. Curiosity burned brighter than fear. Morning, or what the human clocks defined as morning, brought a breakthrough. Lyra discovered a console with symbols that resonated subtly with human logic. She activated a sequence cautiously. The lights pulsed rhythmically, and the stasis chamber emitted a soft glow. The alien's eyes fluttered, barely opening. Movement. Life. Humanity had awoken the first being they had encountered in this distant region of space. Ilara felt her pulse quicken. "We've taken the first step," she said. "Not against it, but with it. We will learn, and maybe we will teach." The day passed with careful observation. The being remained calm, its senses alive yet peaceful. Humans began tentative attempts at communication, using patterns of light, sound, and gesture. The alien responded subtly, recognizing intent without words. Understanding was slow, but progress was undeniable. By the end of the cycle, Ilara stood once more at the observation deck. The alien ship floated calmly in space, still untouched by time. Every compass still pointed away, every sensor still faltered, yet inside, life had awakened. The unknown had been approached, and humanity had not recoiled. Instead, they had adapted, explored, and bridged a gap no one else had dared touch. And somewhere in the void, the universe seemed to notice. A new chapter had begun, one where humans would be tested, challenged, and ultimately defined not by their technology, but by their courage, intellect, and heart. The Starbreaker's crew knew it would not be simple. The ship held secrets, mysteries, and perhaps dangers. But humans had faced the unknown before. They were explorers, problem solvers, and dreamers. And here, in the silent stretch of space, they would prove once again that humanity could rise to challenges beyond comprehension. Ilara took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the dark expanse. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we learn more. And we survive. That's what humans do." The void was silent, indifferent, yet somehow attentive. An untouched ship floated calmly, and humans had stepped aboard. The story was only beginning. The alien ship remained silent as the Starbreaker crew settled into a cautious routine. Every corridor, every room, seemed to hold secrets just beyond reach. Ilara had ordered careful documentation. Yet there was a sense that the ship itself was alive in ways humans could not yet perceive. It did not resist them, nor did it guide them. It simply existed, waiting for discovery, and the crew could feel its quiet presence with every step. In the central chamber, the stasis alien lay at the heart of the ship, now slightly more responsive. Its eyes, luminescent and deep, followed every movement of the humans around it. The crew had grown used to the gentle hum of alien systems, the rhythmic pulsing of lights, and the subtle shifts in gravity along some corridors. It was disorienting at first, but humans adapted. They always did. "Commander," said Rin one cycle later, "I've been mapping the corridors and rooms. Some paths, they loop, but not like a circle. It's as if the ship rearranges itself subtly. There are no dead ends, only choices that return you to where you started differently." Ilara frowned. "Are you saying the ship changes its layout?" "Not actively," Rin said. "It's passive. It's almost observing how we move. I can't explain it. Sensors detect walls in one place. Then moments later, it's slightly different, but no damage, no malfunction. It's intentional." Lyra, ever curious, added, "The material is advanced. It responds to our presence, our weight, our movement, even our thoughts lightly, subtly. That's why the layout seems different. The ship reacts. It's alive in a way we haven't encountered before." Ilara took a slow breath. "Humans have always sought the unknown. We adapt. We learn. We survive. Keep documenting everything. Rin, Lyra, study this reaction. Every detail matters." For hours, the crew explored, taking careful steps, scanning surfaces, observing the stasis alien, and attempting communication. The being had opened its eyes briefly, following gestures and sounds. The team began experimenting with patterns of light and motion to signal friendship, or at least peaceful intent. Lyra observed keenly. "It recognizes us as sentient. It watches, and it evaluates. This species, it's intelligent beyond measure. It is waiting for a reason to trust or respond." The security officers grew restless. They had been trained for danger, but this situation was unlike any threat they knew. Their weapons were useless against understanding. Even so, humans had courage. They moved carefully, respecting the ship and the being, even when fear whispered in the back of their minds. Days passed, and small breakthroughs occurred. The alien responded to gestures that mirrored human logic. It followed light patterns on consoles, and its body reacted to subtle movements by the crew. Communication was slow, primitive by comparison, yet progress was undeniable. Humans had made contact not through dominance, but through intelligence, patience, and empathy. One cycle, Alara led the team into a larger chamber, a dome-shaped hall with walls that shimmered with faint energy traces. It was breathtaking in its design. No human architecture could compare. The floor seemed to float slightly under their weight, adjusting to support them, while the ceiling displayed moving patterns like a star map, but not of any stars humans recognized. "Look at this," Lyra whispered. "This could be a navigation system. But it's three-dimensional, multi-layered. It's not just stars. It's roots, energy flows. Maybe civilizations?" Rin leaned closer to the holographic map, scanning its flowing lines. "These routes, maybe it shows travel paths that are safe for its species, or for other advanced life forms. Humans have never seen space like this." Alara nodded slowly. "We have a lot to learn. This knowledge, it could change everything for humanity. But first, we must prove we are worthy. That's what humans do. We show intelligence and care." They continued deeper into the ship. A side chamber contained what appeared to be a laboratory, but unlike human labs, it was clean and silent. Instruments hovered in midair, glowing faintly. Lyra moved cautiously, studying the devices. "It's automated," she explained. "They didn't need hands to operate it. It's designed for observation, preservation, maybe experimentation without interference. Look at the biological samples, they're perfectly preserved. Even the smallest cells are intact. Humans could never maintain this level of precision for centuries." Alara's mind raced. "We adapt. That's our strength. We find ways to understand, to replicate, to use knowledge wisely. We must study. Yes, but respect is paramount. We do not disturb unless necessary." The stasis being's chamber remained central in all plans. Lyra and the medical team monitored its vital signs carefully. Every movement, every slight shift in energy, was recorded. Humans had a gift for observation, patience, and innovation. Even in the face of the unknown, they relied on intellect and collaboration. One evening, as the team gathered in the central chamber, the stasis alien moved subtly for the first time outside its pod. Its hand reached out, touching the glass lightly, and the light patterns on nearby consoles shifted in response. It was curiosity, not aggression. Humans recognized it instinctively. Alara approached, raising her hand slowly. The alien mirrored her movement, and for the first time, a connection was formed. Communication did not need words. It was trust, recognition, and understanding. Humans had bridged a gap that technology alone could never bridge. "This species, it responds to intention," Lyra said softly. "It evaluates character. It can detect courage, honesty, intelligence, kindness maybe. That's why it remained in stasis. It waited for the right species." Rin shook his head. "Humans? It waited for us? Why? We are fragile, unarmed, unprepared for much of the universe." Alara smiled faintly, determination in her eyes. "We are humans. We survive. We adapt. We learn. That is our strength. Fragile. Yes, but resilient. Empathetic. Yes, but strong. That's why it responds to us. It recognizes potential." The alien's eyes brightened, and the chamber hummed softly. Subtle energy currents ran along the walls, guiding the team toward the next section of the ship. It was as if the being had accepted them, or at least acknowledged their intent. Humans understood signals of trust and respect better than most species. As they explored further, they found rooms filled with ancient knowledge, holographic archives, star maps, and devices that responded to thought and presence. The technology was advanced, but humans approached it intelligently, experimenting carefully, testing limits, and learning quickly. One console displayed a star cluster humans had never charted. Lines connected points in ways that suggested safe travel, energy flows, and possible resources. Lyra deciphered some of the symbols, noting that the alien species had developed a form of navigation far superior to anything humanity had known. With this, she said excitedly, we could travel further, safer, faster. We could reach stars humans have only dreamed of. Ilara nodded. Knowledge must be earned, not stolen. We continue to learn. Step by step, humans adapt to challenges, and we honor the trust given. That is what makes us human. Days turned into cycles. The crew worked tirelessly, documenting, observing, experimenting, and communicating. Humans thrived on problem solving. Every challenge the ship presented was met with ingenuity. Lights that shifted, corridors that changed, and devices that responded to thought. None of these defeated them. Humans adapted, not by force, but by intellect and persistence. Then, in a moment that felt almost ceremonial, the stasis being left its pod, stepping gracefully onto the floor. It was fragile yet powerful, ancient yet alive. The crew watched in awe. It did not speak, yet it communicated clearly. Understanding, recognition, and perhaps acceptance. Humans had proven themselves, not by weapons, not by domination, but by courage, intelligence, and respect. Ilara stepped forward, her hand raised once more. The alien mirrored her. A subtle bond formed, one that transcended species, language, and even time. Humans had reached across a gulf that no technology could span. They had shown the universe that they could face the unknown and adapt without fear or destruction. The ship seemed to respond to this bond. Hallways stabilized, lights became more predictable, and systems that had resisted understanding now provided information. It was not obedience. It was recognition. Humans were worthy of learning, exploring, and perhaps guiding in ways the universe had not anticipated. By the end of the cycle, the Starbreaker crew had achieved something extraordinary. They had made contact, not with aggression, but with intellect. They had entered a ship untouched for centuries and had been acknowledged by its inhabitant. Every compass still pointed away, yet within the ship, understanding had been established. Humans had earned a foothold in the unknown. Ilara stood in the central chamber, gazing at the alien being. "We are humans," she said softly. "We face the unknown with courage, curiosity, and intelligence. And now, we will learn. Together." The stasis alien tilted its head slightly, a gesture that humans recognized as curiosity and perhaps approval. The ship hummed around them, no longer threatening, no longer indifferent. It was a world waiting to be explored, understood, and respected. Outside, the stars shone in the endless void. Humans had ventured into the unknown, and the unknown had taken notice. The journey was only beginning, and humanity had shown, once again, that they could rise to challenges far beyond what others might attempt. For the first time in centuries, the untouched ship was no longer silent. It contained life, understanding, and the quiet promise of knowledge. And humans, resilient and curious, had proven they were ready to meet it. The ship had grown quieter in some ways, and more alive in others. The corridors that had once shifted subtly now seemed to flow with a rhythm the crew could almost anticipate. Lights pulsed in a pattern that mirrored the heartbeat of the stasis alien, who had now fully awakened. Its movements were slow, deliberate, and graceful, as though every step carried the weight of centuries. Commander Ilara Voss observed it from the central chamber. She had spent countless cycles trying to understand this being, to see if it posed a threat, and to learn how to communicate without words. Each gesture, each shift of its eyes, held meaning, and humans had begun to understand them. The alien was intelligent, cautious, and patient. It had survived, perhaps for millennia, and it could teach, observe, and judge. Lieutenant Rin stood beside her, scanning the surrounding consoles. "Commander, we're picking up fluctuations in the ship's energy fields. They are subtle, but I've never seen anything like them. Some readings defy logic. Gravity shifts slightly in some corridors, and light bends as though the walls are liquid." Alara nodded. "We expected anomalies. This ship isn't like ours. We adapt. That's what humans do." Lyra joined them, her eyes wide with fascination. "The being. It's affecting the environment directly. The way it moves, the way it interacts with the ship. It creates stable zones and unstable zones. It is almost like it controls physics itself, but subtly. Not enough to harm us, but enough to teach caution." The stasis alien moved toward the observation deck, its presence drawing a soft hum from the ship's systems. Alara and her team followed carefully. The deck overlooked a dark expanse of space filled with distant stars and swirling nebulae. The sight was mesmerizing, yet eerie. For the first time, the alien extended a hand toward the viewport. The nebula outside shimmered, and the stars seemed to shift. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. But Rin's sensors detected it. "It's manipulating the light outside," Rin said, astonished. "The stars, they move slightly as it focuses. I can't explain it. Not scientifically. Not yet." Alara stepped closer. "It doesn't matter if we understand it fully. What matters is how we respond. Humans adapt. We learn. We survive." The alien's gaze fell on the crew, and for a moment, time seemed suspended. There was no threat, only awareness. The humans had entered its world, studied, observed, and shown intelligence and empathy. That alone had earned their cautious respect. Over the next cycles, the alien guided the humans through deeper parts of the ship. It led them to a chamber filled with spheres of energy floating in midair. Each sphere contained a miniature projection of a distant star system, complete with planets, moons, and energy flows. Lyra moved closer, her voice trembling with excitement. "These are navigational maps, but not ordinary maps. They show energy currents in space, gravitational anomalies, and safe passages. It's like the ship itself is teaching us to see space differently." Ilara's mind raced. "This knowledge, it's incredible. Humans could explore farther than ever before. We could reach places no one has visited." Rin frowned. "But there's something else. These maps, they hint at regions where civilizations have disappeared. Planets abandoned. Systems destroyed. It's as if the ship remembers, or records, tragedies." Lyra nodded. "Perhaps the being's species survived disasters. They built this ship as a safe haven, preserving knowledge and life for the future." The realization struck Alara. They waited for someone to arrive who could learn, who could survive. We are the first humans to earn this trust. That's remarkable. And dangerous. We must be careful. Respect is everything here. As the crew continued exploring, strange phenomena intensified. Gravity fluctuated subtly in some corridors. Light refracted unnaturally. And even time seemed to feel slower or faster, depending on the area. The humans adapted instinctively. They relied on observation, patience, and intellect to navigate the ship. One corridor led to a room filled with alien devices. Some hovered in midair, others projected holograms of alien symbols and patterns. The humans studied them carefully, experimenting with light sequences and gestures. The alien observed silently, responding only when it deemed humans ready to understand. Alara approached a console that reacted to touch. The symbols shifted as she traced her fingers over them. Lyra watched intently. "Commander, it's responding to your pattern. Your movements. They're logical to it. It understands intent and method." This is how it evaluates intelligence. The alien moved closer, observing. Its eyes glowed softly, reflecting understanding and approval. Humans had proven that they were not careless explorers. They approached knowledge with caution, respect, and creativity. Days passed, and small breakthroughs occurred in communication. The alien responded to gestures and light patterns, gradually mirroring human logic. The crew realized that while they could not speak a shared language, they could share understanding. The alien could teach, and humans could learn. One day, in the Chamber of Spheres, the alien extended its hand toward one of the floating energy maps. The sphere pulsed, and a visual projection expanded, showing a complex route through space filled with hazards, black holes, radiation fields, and unstable stars. Lyra gasped. It's showing us how to navigate dangerous regions safely. Humans could travel these sectors, explore, and survive where no one else has dared. Elara nodded, a smile forming. This is humanity's chance. We adapt, we learn, and we survive. That is what makes us unique, Rin added cautiously. But there's a warning too. Some of these paths lead to destruction. The ship's memory. It remembers what happens when life is careless. The alien turned its gaze toward the humans. There was no malice, only awareness. It seemed to communicate through intention, teaching the humans a lesson. Intelligence alone was not enough. Humans needed courage, care, and foresight. Elara approached the alien carefully. We will respect what you've preserved. We will learn what you teach. Humans have always faced challenges, and we will rise to this one. Together, the alien's eyes brightened subtly. The ship responded in kind. The corridors stabilized, systems hummed in harmony, and even the floating energy spheres rotated smoothly. Humans had earned trust, not through force, but through intelligence and empathy. That night, the crew gathered in the observation deck. The stars outside shimmered, and the nebula glowed faintly. The alien remained nearby, watching, observing, and guiding. Humans felt a sense of connection that went beyond language. They were learning not only about the ship, but about themselves. Commander, Rin said softly, do you think it chose us? That we are the right species to learn from it? Elara considered the question. Perhaps. Humans have always survived, not because we are strongest, but because we are adaptable, curious, and brave. We face the unknown with intelligence and courage. That's why it allows us here. The alien shifted, and the energy spheres pulsed in response, creating a wave of light that filled the room. It was not a display of power, but a lesson, a gesture of guidance. Humans instinctively understood the meaning. Trust and knowledge were intertwined. Over the next cycles, the alien taught the humans more about navigation, energy flows, and survival in space. It showed them how to read patterns in gravitational anomalies, how to avoid hazards, and how to use subtle energy currents to travel faster. Humans absorbed the lessons quickly, their natural curiosity and intellect, allowing them to understand concepts far beyond their previous reach. The alien occasionally guided them to areas of the ship filled with archives, holographic records of distant civilizations, maps of forgotten stars, and devices that measured energy in ways humans had never imagined. Every discovery reinforced a simple truth. Humans thrived not through raw strength or domination, but through ingenuity, collaboration, and courage. One evening, while exploring a chamber filled with holographic star systems, Elara realized something profound. This ship, it preserves life, knowledge, and intelligence. It survived disasters that wiped out others, and it waited for a species that could understand. Humans are that species. Rin nodded slowly. We have been tested, Commander. The ship and its being, they evaluated us. And we passed. That is incredible, Lyra added. It's more than evaluation. It's partnership. The alien wants us to learn, to grow, to continue. Humans now have access to knowledge and guidance, no other species has experienced. Ilara smiled faintly. We will honor that. Humans always do. We adapt, we survive, and we protect what is valuable. That is our gift. That is our strength. The stasis alien approached them, moving with grace and purpose. It gestured toward the observation deck. The humans followed, understanding instinctively. Outside, the stars shimmered as though acknowledging the moment. The alien's presence, combined with the ship's subtle manipulations, created a calm, stable zone. Humans felt the trust and connection deeply. For the first time, the ship and its being were no longer mysteries beyond comprehension. Humans had earned access, understanding, and guidance. They had survived the unknown, not through force, but through intellect, empathy, and courage. Ilara turned to her crew, pride and determination in her eyes. This is just the beginning. Humans have proven we can face the unknown, learn, and survive. The universe is vast, and challenges will come. But we are ready. Always. Outside, the stars shone brightly, and the alien ship floated calmly. Every compass still pointed away. Yet within the ship, humanity had carved a place, a bond of trust, and a path toward understanding. The journey was far from over, but humans had shown the universe that they could rise to the challenge, not through domination, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. The alien's eyes met Ilara's, and in that silent gaze, humans understood a promise: knowledge, survival, and partnership. Humanity's potential had been recognized, and their path into the unknown had begun. The void remained vast, mysterious, and indifferent, yet humans thrived. They were explorers, learners, and survivors. And in the heart of the untouched ship, they proved that humanity was ready to meet the universe on its terms. The alien ship floated silently in the endless black of space. But inside, life had begun to stir in a new rhythm. The humans had proven themselves through intelligence, patience, and courage. Every gesture, every careful movement, every respectful interaction had earned the recognition of the alien being. Now, the time had come to learn fully, to step beyond observation into understanding and partnership. Commander Ilara Voss stood in the central chamber, gazing at the stasis alien who now moved freely. Its form was elegant and composed, a living embodiment of centuries of knowledge and survival. The alien observed the humans not with suspicion, but with interest. It was ready to share, to teach, and to guide. Today, we learn, Ilara said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of anticipation and reverence. Humans adapt. We survive. And we honor what is given. Lyra activated a console that had remained dormant until now. Symbols and light patterns glowed, projecting a holographic display that expanded across the chamber. The alien extended its hand toward the display, and instantly, the floating energy spheres illuminated, creating a three-dimensional map of nearby space. Rin's eyes widened. Commander, these are travel paths, energy currents, and safe zones through unstable regions of space. We could reach places no human has ever seen. Ilara nodded. Exactly. And not just for exploration. These paths may help us avoid disasters, learn from what others could not survive, and prepare humanity for challenges ahead. The alien moved among the spheres, and with each gesture, the projections shifted, highlighting new systems, unknown star clusters, and routes that utilized natural energy currents. Humans watched in awe, understanding more with each cycle. Their adaptability, creativity, and intelligence allowed them to absorb complex concepts quickly. This knowledge is beyond technology, Lyra said. It is understanding of space, life, and survival. The alien teaches not just through information, but through observation and pattern recognition. Ilara observed the alien, noting how it interacted with the humans. It did not force understanding. Instead, it guided them gently, allowing them to learn through exploration and careful analysis. Humans excelled at this. They observed, hypothesized, tested, and adapted. That was their gift. Rin traced a path along one of the energy currents. These flows, if we follow them correctly, we could travel faster than ever. We could avoid radiation fields, gravitational hazards, even regions destroyed by natural disasters. Humans have always thrived through ingenuity, Ilara said. We innovate, adapt, and survive. This ship and its being recognize that. And now, we learn. Over the next cycles, the humans explored every chamber of the alien ship. They discovered archives containing holographic records of civilizations long gone, star systems wiped out, and species that had survived catastrophes. The ship preserved knowledge meticulously. Humans absorbed it all. Not as conquerors, but as learners. They asked questions through gestures and light patterns. The alien answered subtly, guiding them toward understanding rather than giving direct solutions. One day, while studying a chamber filled with floating devices that measured energy flows, Lyra discovered a pattern that mimicked the natural currents of nearby stars. Commander, this ship, it doesn't just navigate space, it teaches survival. It shows how energy flows can sustain life, how to avoid danger, how to travel safely. This is remarkable. Ilara smiled. Humans adapt. We always have. And now, we can use this knowledge to protect ourselves, explore safely, and help others. That is our responsibility. The alien observed the humans as they worked. Its eyes glowed softly, reflecting a recognition of humanity's potential. It moved among them, demonstrating concepts through subtle gestures, which humans interpreted and applied. Each day, their understanding grew. They learned not just about navigation, but about patience, observation, and the interconnectedness of life and energy in the universe. Rin pointed to a floating sphere showing a dangerous region of space. Commander, if we travel through here unprepared, the systems show complete annihilation. Entire civilizations were wiped out. Ilara nodded. And that is why the ship waits. It waits for those who can learn, those who can survive, those who will honor knowledge. Humans have shown we are that species. The alien then led the humans to a chamber with a vast holographic projection of its own history. They watched as civilizations rose and fell, as star systems thrived and were destroyed. Every failure and success was preserved. Humans absorbed these lessons, realizing the value of foresight, caution, and intelligence. Lyra whispered. It's teaching us not just survival, but wisdom. The mistakes of the past, preserved for us to learn from. Ilara placed a hand on the console. Humans have always learned from the unknown. We explore. We adapt. We survive. That is our nature. And now, we continue that tradition. Days turned into cycles, and the humans mastered much of the ship's systems. They learned to read energy flows, understand gravitational anomalies, and even manipulate the ship's navigation systems with subtle gestures. The alien watched patiently, teaching without pressure, guiding without domination. Humans thrived under this mentorship. Then, one cycle, the alien extended its hand toward the central chamber. The walls pulsed with energy, and a doorway opened that had previously remained hidden. Beyond it was a chamber filled with knowledge and technology unlike anything humans had imagined. Propulsion systems that harnessed natural energy currents, devices that generated clean energy indefinitely, and navigational tools capable of predicting cosmic events centuries in advance. Lyra gasped. This could change everything for humanity. We could travel farther, safer, faster. We could explore the universe in ways we never dreamed. Ilara nodded, a sense of pride and responsibility washing over her. And we will use it wisely. Humans adapt, we survive, and we honor what is given. That is our gift, and now, our duty. The alien then moved closer, its presence commanding but gentle. It projected a holographic image of its species, a civilization that had survived countless disasters. Its eyes met Ilara's, and she understood instinctively. Humanity had been chosen to inherit this knowledge, not by chance, but by merit. Humans had proven their courage, intelligence, and empathy. Rin spoke softly, awe in his voice. We are being trusted, not just with technology, but with wisdom. That's incredible. Ilara placed a hand over her heart. And we will honor that trust. Humans have always faced challenges and unknown dangers. We will rise to this one as well. That is what we do. The alien then guided the humans to a chamber overlooking a distant nebula. Stars shimmered with unusual colors, and energy currents flowed visibly through space. The alien gestured, demonstrating how these currents could be navigated, how energy could be harnessed, and how knowledge could protect life. Humans watched closely, learning quickly, understanding deeply. This is our future, Ilara said, her voice filled with determination. We will explore, learn, and survive. We will protect what is valuable, honor what is given, and thrive where others might fail. That is humanity. The alien seemed to acknowledge her words. Its eyes glowed, reflecting approval and recognition. Humans had not only learned, they had demonstrated their worthiness. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and empathy could bridge gaps across species, time, and space. Days later, the humans prepared to leave the alien ship. They had absorbed as much knowledge as they could, documented every discovery, and understood the aliens' guidance. The ship itself seemed to recognize the completion of their lessons. Corridors that had shifted now stabilized, lights glowed steadily, and systems hummed in harmony. Ilara stood on the bridge of the Starbreaker, gazing at the alien ship. We leave with knowledge, with guidance, and with responsibility. Humanity thrives not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. That is what we have proven. Lyra joined her, excitement in her eyes. Commander, we've learned so much. And the alien? It trusted us. That's remarkable. Humans truly can rise to challenges beyond comprehension, Rin added. And not just survive, but thrive. We've seen what patience, observation, and care can achieve. That is humanity's strength. The alien remained nearby, watching the humans depart. Its presence was calm, serene, and approving. It had shared its knowledge, tested humanity, and found them worthy. The humans had not only learned, they had become part of a larger understanding, bridging civilizations and time. As the Starbreaker drifted away from the alien ship, the stars shimmered, and the nebula glowed faintly. Every compass still pointed away from the ship. Every sensor still struggled with its anomalies. Yet humans carried with them the wisdom and understanding they had earned. They had stepped into the unknown, adapted, learned, and survived. Humanity had proven its resilience, intellect, and empathy once again. Ilara looked at her crew, pride swelling in her chest. This is just the beginning. Humans will explore farther, survive longer, and learn more than ever before. And we will do it together. That is our gift. That is our strength. The alien ship floated silently, untouched by time yet now alive with the presence of humanity. It had waited centuries for beings capable of understanding, for explorers who would approach knowledge with respect, courage, and intelligence. Humans had arrived, and they had risen to the challenge. The void of space stretched endlessly, dark and vast, yet filled with potential. Humans had proven they were ready not through domination, but through thought, collaboration, and heart. The universe had acknowledged them, and they would continue their journey, carrying the lessons, wisdom, and hope of a species that survived, adapted, and thrived. And as the Starbreaker moved toward new stars, new dangers, and new discoveries, humans understood one truth more clearly than ever. The unknown was not to be feared. It was to be faced, understood, and embraced, because humanity thrived in the unknown, and they always would.